Hello and welcome to the second section of this course. In the previous section, we set up Grunt, Karma, and Protractor for unit testing and end-to-end testing. In this section, we're going to be testing controllers. In this video, we're creating a controller for selecting a pizza type and then writing a unit test. When we're writing an AngularJS app, we always start with a controller that exists within a module. Modules group together controllers, services, and directives. Controllers control how the user interacts with the app and ties services and directives together. In our case, we start with a simple controller that has no dependencies on any services. We start by writing the unit test for our controller in spec/unit/selectPizzaControllerSpec.js. Before we write any test, we have to load the Pizza Store module and inject the select pizza controller. We use the scope variable to keep track of the controller's scope. This is how we'll call and inspect the controller scope variables. Now to write our tests. What we want to test for is whether we can place an order or not. In our first test, we set the pizza type to a blank string and then call placeOrder. We expect that no order will be in progress. In our next test, we set the pizza type to the first choice that a user can select. Then we call placeOrder and expect that there will be an order in progress. Now we open a new file where we will place our controller and write code that passes the unit tests that we have just created. We define the pizza choices that are available: Canadian, pepperoni, and vegetarian. We also define the pizza type that is currently selected. At first, this is blank, which means there's no pizza selected. Open the HTML template for the controller, and let's add multiple choices for the type of pizza that customers can choose. We're using the ng options directive to populate the choices of pizza type that can be selected. This simplifies our HTML template, and it's also easier to test. Open the app.js file, and let's change the main route to point to our new controller and template. Instead of using main controller and views/main.html, we will be using select pizza controller and views/selectpizza.html. When we hit that particular URL, the router will load the template and controller. This is something we will test later on in video 3 of this section with an end-to-end test. For now, we are focusing on unit testing the controller. We also need to load the controller JavaScript file. Let's open index.html and add it to the head element. Unit tests to see that they fail. Let's update the controller to implement the placeOrder method so that we can start passing the unit test. Since the controller has no dependencies, we will be pretending that it makes a call to a service that places an order. We check if a pizza type is selected and then set the scope variable order in progress to true. Next, we add the unit test to our Karma configuration file so that we can run it. However, before the unit test is loaded, we also need to load the AngularJS libraries. To be able to run unit tests, we absolutely need to load the ngmux library. Now we run the unit test and it checks to make sure that the drop-down selection is working and that our controller can see the changes in its scope. That's how we write a unit test for a controller that has no dependencies. Awesome.